Okay, here's another debunk. This is that guy that thought he would make a debunk on one of my videos, and then he thought he'd make it a multi-parter, of course, because it's going to take him a long time. Because a lot of my videos go into 45 minutes, and he wants to try to debunk every bit of it. I've already made videos to destroy him with. I wonder how much he's going to hang himself. Now he's got part two out, by the way. It's right down here. So this is the one with the red line that I've already debunked totally, and then we're going to go to the second part. It's 16 minutes longer, a couple of minutes longer than the first one. He tries to talk about the Canary Islanders. This guy only has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 videos now. It's 2 days ago, and he tries to talk about the African natural blue eyes of Pharaoh Ka and clear racial blah 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 blah. And he's really digging a hole with that one. You can tell he's Negrocentric like hell, and he actually tried to make a debunk video on a super Egyptian. And he says Eurocentric lunacy dismissed. And I don't think he understands that the super Egyptian is a Coptic. North African Egyptian, and he's living in Egypt, and he's never been to Europe, and he's not Eurocentric at all. In fact, he tries to tell you the Coptics are the closest that are left to the ancient Egyptians in that area, and I agree with that. In that area they definitely are, but genetics are showing a lot of connections, and they still have some of that connection, and they have blue eyes and things every once in a while too, like the ancient Egyptians do in all the earliest statues. For he shows one here, but I can show about 16 of them, and even Nefertiti and everything. But he's got this video up here I'm very interested in. He said Berber DNA, the stolen heritage of Africa. So we're just going to get into this, but he starts out with about 50 seconds or a minute of an intro that has some music in it, and I probably can't have that up, but he's just going to type words. He talks with such a bad accent that it's probably better if he just does words. A unique alphabet in the whole world made of symbols instead of letters. And yeah, but all alphabets come from a form of symbology. For first it was all ideograms, and it works its way in. I don't know if he thinks that's unique. I guess what's unique is that they ended up still at the end where one symbols can mean certain words and whole words. But they had that in ancient Greek and stuff too. Certain gods are just certain symbols. They had that in ancient Sumeria where they'd have dingir and then so on and everything. And so they had symbols for people, even in cuneiform writing coming into it, but then it changes. And then it turned into something more simplistic by the Phoenicians, which still used some type of letters that had connective meanings to them. In fact, some of those letters are seen in that Tifinagh type script. So, but it's unique, and they have awesome music there, which this is some of in the background. Here's the market. And he says, but unfortunately, being a great civilization brought many revisionists and liars to claim their achievements as their own. Well, that sure wouldn't be me. I try to clarify that. It doesn't matter who it really goes to and everything. But so is he going to try to claim that it has Negroids to do with it instead of the Caucasians and everything? Is that what he's going to try? And he's going to say, look, Negroids built that cool places and stuff and that architecture that's Arabic and where it comes from, and claim it. And Arabics are Caucasians. And just like this idiot keeps saying over and over again whenever I say, they're Caucasians, and he goes, they weren't white. And it's like, dude, I didn't ever say they were white, because you think white means not just Caucasian, but you think white means Nordic Europeans. And they do have a lot of connections to them that you won't be willing to make, but I'll show them to you here in a minute. But at the same time, you're claiming that these people are black and not the endemic Caucasians of North Africa. It's kind of disgusting, and you talk revisionist crap, and that's what you're doing. Oh, and the jealousy of most Eurocentrics made people question the scientists if they were European or Caucasoid. this dude doesn't have any logic in his head, and he doesn't even know what he's talking about. For Caucasian or Caucasoid is every white person, basically everybody other than a Negroid, Orientals, Amerindians, Eskimos and stuff, Mongoloids and Negroids, everybody else. So that whole big giant thing, all the way from the edge of China through Russia, all the way through Europe, all the way around the Mediterranean, there's still a huge remnant, although it's been changed recently, and people want to act like that's the way it was thousands of years ago, all the way around the Mediterranean into Egypt, all the way across to India and everywhere in between, from the Scythians way up north and all the things we know and talk about, Proto-Indo-Europeans, all the way through all of it. But are we saying that they're European Caucasians and that they're knights in shining armor or anything? No, but they have a lot of heritage that does go close to it, and it really doesn't have anything to do with Negroids. And let's continue. Talk about what jealousy brings. It'll make black people claim architecture like that. Pushing Berber people out of their own history and claiming that Berbers are not African people. Oh no, this is what blacks in America try to do. They say that was from the slave trade, and the only reason there's any white people in North Africa was because of that, because it was always Negroes, because it ruins their whole lie that they have going on, and for that to be in effect. So they have to say they weren't, and they also claim the Moors off doing that. We might take a look at what those guys look like here in a minute too, but no, they're African people because they live in Africa, and they're endemic Caucasian Africans, just like in Egypt. Even though their genetics show they came from Europe and Anatolia and the Levant and back into it and brought farming to it and everything, they're Egyptians. And whenever they say back to Africa migration, they meant that exact words. So they were there before, and then they come back. He went to the store and brought me back a burger. Yeah, let's continue. Not a burger. Yeah, marketplaces. Look like Marrakesh, but it could be 1,000 places. After many genetic studies made in North Africa on different Berber populations, finally we get a real answer. And he's fixing to try to lie to you, because I'm just going to go look at Berber and tell you what it says off what he says, and that'll just end his little whining. What you got for us, bro? Birds, the Atlantic Ocean, camels, which I've shown come from North America, and then we're over there above India, yeah, and the land, Bactrian lands and stuff, and then they formed 2 different forms of them and domesticated them just like horses, brought them in India all the way across and into Egypt, and then this is the only way that they actually could really get to sub-Saharan Africans, through the desert, because there were special oases and things, and it was a real harsh trip. Even those Arabian horses that actually came from Scythians and stuff, because that's the people that did all the horses, so that's Proto-Indo-Europeans, and even that wasn't going to be able to go through it. And of course chariots and stuff don't saw through sand dunes. So oh, here he goes. Northern Africans possess haplogroup E1b1b, which is EM81, a haplogroup that originated in the Horn of Africa. Well, actually, they found out a little more about it. I think right here we'll just go up and just see what it says about it. Which way is it? Haplogroup E. So here we are in the E group. When we put it in, it goes EM215 or M81 redirected. EB3 redirects here, and EB1b1, formerly as EB3, is a major human Y chromosome haplogroup division of macro haplogroups. EM96, divided in a sequel nucleotide, blah, blah, blah. In other words, it's one of the major patrilineages of humanity, linking from father to son back to common male ancestors, Y chromosomal Adam. And I've had black people try to pull this on us, and of course, I can't do it. I'm not all about genetics. I just know the truth of what that's about because of what I've read, and then her video that talks about it. But I'll just redirect people to her video and stuff, and she's gotten hopefully a lot of videos views off of it, but it shows you where it comes from, and he's going to say it here in this stuff here too, because it was a little confusing, and black people keep hopping up and down and thinking that some of these people they're talking about are Negroids. And while it floated into the population with the back to Africa effect, that back to Africa people are Caucasians, and it's where it originated. So, anyhow, so they've studied in genetics as well as genetic geology, archaeology, and historical linguistics to try to figure it all out. And they've had different confirmations. And they talk about a native population outside of Ethiopia that's up in Africa, but that's a lot of their Caucasian admix, and the reason they look like they do, it's about 40 to 50%. But also where they found highest frequencies in North Africa and in the Horn of Africa. And North Africa has a hell of a lot of Caucasians in it, and Horn of Africa too has percentages in their DNA, and that's where it comes from. And the Middle East and Europe, oh damn. And in isolated populations of Southern Africa, but they tell you down here that happened after it got into the people of Ethiopia, and then they went down, and it has to do with Somalia, and then they got their tainting from that, and that's after the Bantu expansion. Yeah, so if you figure that into the effect, it really doesn't matter too much. So the origins of M215 were dated by Cruciani and others in 2007 at about 22,400 years ago in the Horn of Africa. By the way, the oldest Negroid skull they've ever found that's a modern Negroid is 4600 BC. Sure, they might find one older, but they've already found older ones, but they are listed as proto-Negroids and don't look the same. And they don't look like they're quite there yet. And the oldest one they found of proto-Negroids is 9,100 years ago at Iwu Aliru. And so this is before the date that they're even not really a modern human. And that just really wasn't that long ago, especially whenever Cro-Magnon shows haplogroups and alleles that are still extant today in Europeans and so on. And it shows you how long ago they were a modern human. But they've even found in North Africa in a cave at Jebel Irhoud recently, last year, a deeper find of now Homo sapiens at 315,000 BC. And that's modern human equal to Caucasians, but we're Homo sapiens sapiens. We've done this other little evolution. But let's continue. EM35 was dated by Battani in 2015 between 15,400 and 20,500 years ago. In June 2015, Trombetta and others reported a previously unappreciated large difference in the age between haplogroup of M215 at 38,600 years ago during that Cro-Magnon time at 95%. Yeah. And they had subclads or whatever that I guess that are showing up at 31% and 45.9 thousand years ago. So there's a range where it could have possibly happened in the 98% percentile of 38.6 is its peg point. Like here's the spike where this looks like it should be. It's extensive genetics. It's Caucasian cracker magic, as blacks like to call it. And its sub-haplogroup EM35 is 25,000 years ago, and is estimated to be the origin to be in Northeast Africa. Oh, haplogo. Well, West African sub-Saharan have nothing to do with that, so quit hopping up and down. But also Libyans and those pale people, even on the Egyptian art and everything, and what they try to say that Caucasians were, you're Libyans and you're Tamahu and stuff, and make stupid statements. But lo and behold, yeah, so there we go. All major sub-branches of EM35, and oh, this has to do with the Natufians too. So where we get North Africa, the Horn of Africa, near some branches of M35 have been left Africa thousands of years ago, whereas others may have arrived in from the Near East. For example, Underhill associates the spread of haplogroup with Neolithic Revolution. This is them Caucasians and stonework and everything. believing that the structure and regional pattern of M35 subclads potentially give regions to which infer specific episodes of population histories associated with the Neolithic agricultural expansion. So that was a weird way, and you have to dig through that lawyer speak pretty much to say, well, you know those people up in Catalhoyuk and through Samaria that had, in the Fertile Crescent, had formed all those grains and domesticated cattle? They came down into here, and that's Caucasians, and they can find genetics that prove that the cattle, they didn't have any cattle in North Africa even. It's not shown until they bring it in, but it's way back when. It's not right when Egypt starts or everything. It's way before that. Hell, the Narmer palettes got Hathor on the top of it and stuff, but let's continue. Also, Battaglia in 2007 estimate the EM71, called E1B1B at paper, has been in Europe longer than 10,000 years. Oh snap. Accordingly, human remains excavated in Spanish funeral cave dating from approximately 7,000 years ago were shown to be in this haplogroup, and he's a Caucasian. 2 more M78 have been found Neolithic Sopot and Langle cultures. We're not going to go into all that, but let's see. With this scheme, seems to be present late Pleistocene migration from North Africa into Europe over the Sinai Peninsula and Egypt. Oh, Whitey Cracker. Through this possible remains in uncontested, as it has more recently been proposed by Traumata et al. Yeah, and I'm making fun with that Whitey Cracker cuff stuff because you're trying to put black people into where it is. If I just say Caucasians, will you leave it alone and quit saying I'm trying to talk about people from Scandinavia? Because they got red hair and blonde hair in Egypt and all around the Levant, and these Libyans used to and everything. You want me to prove that to you? Hold on a second. They're going to talk about Lizardus in 2016 and the Natufians that were found, and I just did a couple of videos about it, and 7P7 did a great video about it showing genetic connections. But this is where they're getting early Neolithic farmers down, and they're turning into farmers. It seems to be a happening, and where they become settled. And it's 12,000 years ago, so from the last ice age, and when they were pushed down in this area, because everybody's pushed down from the ice shelf and things in the ice age, and more into a Middle Earth. That's what Mediterranean means. Oh, and there's connections to that too. And so 13,050 BC to 7,500 in the Levant, the culture is unusual, supported sedentary or semi-sedentary population, blah blah blah. But in that, they find that haplogroup is strong to the point at what? Well, them and their subclads, 60%. Haplogroup E1B1B is also found in moderate frequencies among fossils and ensuing pre-pottery Neolithic bee culture. God. So, man, them Caucasians, but man, this is Whitey. Oopsie. And so now you might get a different look of the way things used to look back in the day, but it'll come to you maybe after I show you a few more things. The scientists suggest the Levantine farmers may have spread southward into East Africa, bringing along Western Eurasian and Basal Eurasian ancestry components separate from that which arrived later in North Africa. A bang. Additionally, haplogroup E1B has been found in ancient Egyptian mummies excavated at Absur el-Melek, and 7 Phoenician 7 did a video about this that's better than anything I could spend 20 minutes saying. But it basically shows you all these Caucasians and where that hooks up to, and you look at the haplogroup map on the map, and it goes up to Anatolians and Europe. There's a real strong dark blotch right there, and King Tut's did the same thing, and it's just amazing what those amazing Caucasians have done. I heard they can fly now, but also it hooks up, let's see, ancient Egyptian mummy fossils in the Ibero-Mauritian site. So what this is pulled away from the shore here in North Africa, and see it right there in the blotch. And so this is in the Atlas Mountains and stuff off of that, and closer to where they say the Eye of the Sahara is, and what may have been Atlantis, which shows on Herodotus's map that's where they called it. And I've made a video about that too. But subclad, these ancient individuals born Autochthonous Maghrebi genomic component that peaks among northern Africans. What? So Autochthonous people, indicating they were ancestral populations. E1 group has been likewise observed in the ancient Guanche. Who were they? Those are those big Cro-Mag-looking Caucasians that are on the Canary Islands, and they build little pyramids and stuff too. Sure enough, and it matches to them. Well, matches to them. Well, how much? Well, they found these ones here that get this sequence out of, and they were 3 for 3 at 100%. What? Yeah, so it looks like that would be what goes with them more than any Negroid or anything type. Wouldn't you agree with that? And when they tell you later in here that it looks like it doesn't come from there, but it blended out of Africa and came back in, and that all they're talking about is Caucasians, and that if you have some admix and you have that as Negroids, this might be that Maury, who's your daddy moment. Right. And so they talk about Afro-Asiatic speakers, which is Caucasians. And this golden area here was always Caucasians. And Tuareg didn't used to be Negroids at all. It turned into that. And the Berbers that came down all the way into this area, this part right here, right in here, is where black people were. And it's sub-Sahara. So you can see they're delving way into the Sahara. Yeah, they're oases and everything else, because it doesn't take too long from the shore to where it just starts dying off and ends. And they talk about a bunch of people that have them. I guess just one thing to go over real quick is if you look here, they talk about the first ones are Moroccans and stuff. So we're talking about Berbers and places like that. Various, and then Semitic, Berber. Well, if we look at, oh, here it is, M78, it shows high kick here. And the E215 we're talking about, 79, 65, 78, 78, 85. Who are these people we're talking about? 79, 1. Well, hold on a second. It gets better. That E, M81 variant, 67, 52, 32, 30. That seems smaller. Oh, 79. What's 79 different? Oh, non-Semitic Berber. That's quite telling. And these Boré Berbers, yeah, okay, Beria, Middle Atlas Berbers, oh, 89, 89 on both. Pagan, well, we need to look at some of those. And Seuss, 95. So all that whole area there. So where's this whole black population you're talking about? Oh, well, there's some black people there. Oh, I know, I've been there. But they're telling you what used to be there, and the genetics of the people. They're not going to talk about immigrants that are into there now. If they were talking about European DNA, they wouldn't be mentioning Negroid DNA. They would say, well, that's sub-Saharan African, usually, and it might have some North African now and what they would call that, but that's not the truth in that in everywhere. So they go all the way through this, and even in Egyptian, it's pegging numbers as far as Libyan, 37%, 77.8 in Marrakesh. Oh wait, the Jaradu Berbers and Chinini get 100%. Tunisian Jews get 10%. What? Oh, that's such a difference for the same people next to each other. Well, I guess the better thing to do would be to go off of that, but so that's haplogroup. Can we Berbers? I think we'll just go take a look at Berbers here. And so, man, I don't want to go through this. I've got a whole video where I read this word for word and go off like I do through the whole thing. There's a lot of things that could be said. Pictures are worth 1,000 words, right? But they tell you that these were the Mori, and that's the Moors. And we're fixing to look at this picture and all these other pictures, and I'll see if you can guess what ethnicity they are. I've shown them, black people have shown this, and they go, look, it's a Negroid. And they say Libyan, and they go, no, the Libyans are all the Caucasian-looking guys, the most pale ones on the wall of Egyptians. Stop coveting. You were West African primitives, sub-Saharan, and you didn't know any of this exists. Stop it. Oh, well, no, stop it. You were West African primitives. Let's see. So they say, oh, well, there's got a chin beard, and he's wearing, no, that's one of those bonnet tops. What do they look like? Well, let's just take a look. Any chance you can look at that and not realize that that's Caucasian? If I told you that that's pink on his face and that it's still got some paint on it, and it's got little stubble dots around on his chin, and he's got a mustache, and he's got red long hair and tattoos. And who is this? This is Ramses III, depicted a tattooed ancient Libyan chief, 1150 BC. Caucasian. So Libyans aren't Negroids, but oh, so if we looked at this picture, you can tell, and that's at Persepolis. This is in Persia, and there's a cart there and horses and everything. And where did horses come from? Oh, that's after the Hyksos came and everything. Who are those? Those are Caucasians again, definitely, and you would call them white, just like you would call these Libyans white. Yeah, and back in the day, what they look like. But let's just go through this. He's brought some goats and things too, and yeah, they're farmers. Well, this is Hercules wrestling a Libyan. Which one's Hercules? Which one's a Libyan? Oh, I don't know. I don't know. One thing's for sure, they're both Caucasians. You can see that, right? So, where are we talking about? Well, it's all up here, but you know, Gala means milk, and here's the kingdom of Gala. Is that anything to do with Galatians out of the Bible? Well, kind of in an out way. I'm not going to go into that right now. I'm destroying North Africa with Negroids. Because you talk about Numidia. No, not Namibia. Numidia. Do you know what I'm talking about? If you don't, you shouldn't have made videos that says I don't know what I'm talking about. This is what these people look like. How Negroid do you think that is? And Hannibal and all the things that went on with Carthage and Tunisians and everything. What do you think about that? And the people that live between them and the Lotophages. And who's Massinissa, which they refer to as Masnun. And you look at Numidia. Yeah, and this is in Africa after they've named it that. Yeah, that's the area we're looking at. Sure enough, Carthage is up there. Oh, it went off the picture. So, this is the Moorish cavalry under Lucius Quidius fighting against the Dacians from the colony of Trajan. And if you look, those aren't Negroids. They are very European featured all over them, and beards and not, and look all the way over on this side too. Just to make sure you don't think that somewhere there's a sneaky Negroid in there somewhere. Well, one other hint is that they're riding horses. Okay, so man, it's starting to look pathetic, but let's continue. Here's when Guanche show up, and that's that look. That's that Caucasian people that are hooked up at 100% level of this genetics that you're talking about and trying to hook up somehow to Negroids. And this architecture that doesn't have anything to do with Negroids. It's an Islamic Arabic type style that's almost got a Persian flair to it. And if you can't see that, then Doi and Doi and oh, this other black guy made a video and he was saying Kahina was a black lady, and he shows this black lady with a sword and stuff, and that's funny. For you just look at her features there, and she's a Caucasian. Well, she's dark. Well, she's made out of brass. Let's see if we made it out of light alabaster. Would you have any question as to whether or not that was a Caucasian or not? Kind of a Statue of Liberty thing, kind of a non-Negroid kind of thing, kind of a please stop it kind of thing, kind of a man, don't you look pathetic right now kind of thing. And yeah, all of North Africa through Fez, I've been there, Tangiers, and then you can go over this other part and you can actually see a cross, and Had this one guy that was there. I was going to tell the story whenever I first got into this, but hell, this is going to be long enough as it is. But so this is your Moors, and so there's these guard guys, and they're kind of blonde haired, but this guy's brown haired. He's kind of gray. He's kind of dark, but he's kind of blondish red. And okay, so which one are you saying is the Negroid out of the Moors? Look, it gets silly after a while trying to claim ancient civilizations and also claim that, oh, well, these were black people. And all these cities that they built, the Caucasians, the Arabic people should be pissed that black people are trying to claim this crap. They built all those things. Cities across the way, farming villages, their ancient symbology. This is the flag, but that's one of their symbols, and it's actually made out of a symbol that means a person. In a way, this is a person with his legs, and he's standing with his arms up. And you can look in ancient symbology of the Egyptians whenever they were coming into it, and now they have this Isis thing, but she's raising her arms up. It looks kind of like a ballerina, and it goes back to cave art up in Europe. It goes back in the 30th thousands of years, but these people are not Negroid and all the way deep. Look at that, deep down, close to where Negroids are, and they still weren't Negroids. And all these populations that are pocketed inside of here. But are you going to try to tell me he's a Negro? How much admix would you think he has with his green eyes and his look? He looks like that tennis player dude. Is that tennis player dude? Look, here's a building that looks like a yurt. But that wasn't built by Negroids. And some fancy jewelry. That's got to be old. I don't know the history behind that at all. I once had a black guy try to claim that this was black. And then you find out that this is Arius, as in Aryans. And damn, don't you look stupid for claiming that. And look how pale his hand is and stuff, and he's holding light and thing, and looks very much like a church and got a halo behind his head. Isn't that special? Isn't that Caucasian religion incredible? Or St. Augustine, do you think that he's got some admix or anything about him? No? Right. So this is the way before Islamic came through there and the Arabs, and it got changed afterwards, but it still didn't destroy what the time I'm talking about. Here's Tariq, like Tariq Nasheed. Look, he's naming himself after a Caucasian. Isn't that great? Of course, a lot of blacks in America name themselves all kinds of Hotep things and stuff, and it's Caucasian Egyptians, and they didn't even know they existed. But let's continue. Beautiful city. Yeah, towers and everything onto it. Isn't that incredibly? Yeah, it's incredibly nice. Hey, look at that Caucasian girl in that henna, and they do tattoos there too. Oh yeah, and I forgot to mention that they talk about the ancient Scythians and their tattoos, and then Utsi the Iceman had tattoos, and some of the early Egyptians are shown to have tattoos, and these women had tattoos, and there's stories about Amazons and stuff, and it has nothing to do with Negroids. But I just did a debunk where someone tried to say that the Amazons were Negroes. Yeah, they're trying to claim anything but West African primitives. Doesn't this even almost look like a Hobie blanket? But it's from them, even though some of these symbols look odd. But look at these symbols here for their hourglasses stuck together. But in reality, it's Jewish stars. Yeah. And some of their symbols kind of swastika a little bit. And some of their ancient symbols have Celtic swirls and things like that in them, and designs that wouldn't be too far away for right across the Pillars of Hercules. Right up in there is where those people were, and all the way into Anatolia at times. Some cool jewelry and stuff too. This has all got to be modern, or maybe it's not. I don't know if that's the thing. And they've got different kinds of foods. Yeah. Remember when we went there, they make it in like a walk, but it's a lot flatter. And we ordered two different things because they wanted to get lamb, and we were really trying to talk into it. And I wasn't sure I was going to like it, but I was going to try it. So we got a beef and a lamb, and it was pretty damn good. And the yellow things there are got to be the banana thing, a plantain, maybe. And these are some instruments where they had a thing that looked like a clarinet, a thing that looks like a flute, a regular drum, and then the actual tambourine itself, and where some of those names come from. But and so yeah, so I don't think you're gonna try to pull that off too much. So where are all these magic Negroes in ancient times? And they sure aren't the Moors. Oh, they might have had some castrated eunuch slaves at the ends, but what's up with this red-headed guy and all the things that don't go with Negroids whatsoever? Let's see if I can. If you want to, you can read up on this, and then you'll quit making a lie and a mistake, or you're going to turn into African Americans where they just say, oh, the whole world's against them trying to lie, and it's all a lie. It's not me. I'm not a jealous yipping idiot. It's the whole world. And then you'll look like a fool. Of course, it kind of looks that way already. For that first video where you tried to make fun of me, you even agreed with me more than you disagreed, and you kept trying to say whenever I say Caucasian and no white, and you freaked out on it. It's hilarious. Let's go to where this is. So the haplogroup. Oh, did I even show you that it originated out in Asia in an older date and after 22,000 BC, and it came in? And yeah, I showed that. Okay, so they're saying it's Eurasia where this haplogroup comes from. It. And what I didn't show you is one of those other little phrases where they're telling you today there's a large component of that same haplogroup up there. And so if we look at it, and you were to say, okay, so that's a major component of Ethiopians and so on, and they have a lot of Caucasoid admix looking thing. And then you look at the populations in Europe, they're saying that have that same, and they don't have any Negroid looking features to them at all. Which way do you think that admix went? The frequency of this haplogroup varies from different Berber populations, and we just looked at some Berbers. '57, I can show you all the way up to 90. I did it just a minute ago. 98. 100 in Guanche Islands, so that, listen, if it's 100 in Guanche Islands that look like freaking Fabio, then I think there it kind of says something. There can't be any, well, what's the admix? Duh. But you really want to try that. Cabell Berbers. Asian haplogroup. Even into the top part of India. So, has that got to do with Aryans or anything? Oh, snap, hold on. 67%. J haplogroup also comes in there, respectively, in center northern India, he says, but I think that's showing up to not be true also. For I think that's what the Sumerian haplogroup ends up showing up in the people through and in between there and into, like Susa and stuff, but you wouldn't say it's the Southern Indian Denisovan cross, but it may be a major component for that is really Caucasians with Denisovan cross. And you're not going to try to pull R1s or V88 back to Africa. Okay, back to Africa, so that shows you where it comes from. It is European DNA, or the back to Africa. 81, 93, 94. European are only 3%. Oh, well, we're not 3% Negroid, though, just because it doesn't shine exactly that haplogroup. That V88 shows up a lot higher than that. Yeah, so I don't know which one you're trying to pull off there. If you just a minute ago said one other one is different, but I don't think so. And I know that's not correct. where our haplogroup holds strong, and it's got to do with Caucasians. Hey, let's do something else real quick before it ends. Let's go looking at Berbers. Let's just go look at them. And what if I was to just Google I'm just going to be simple that you can follow easily with this. I'm going to say Amazai. Oh, I'm doing something wrong. No, I'm not. Seuss Berber. Who are these people? I put an N. Who are these people? The Amazai and Seuss type Berbers. Well, I could read it to you. Let's just do a picture's worth 1,000 words. So here's some pictures of them. And would you say that's Negroid with some Caucasian admix, or Caucasian with some Negroid admix? Just on simple logic and knowing that this is where it hooks up that I'm showing you. How about this lady here? Do you think she looks like a Caucasian or a Negroid? How about that blonde-haired kid that's with her? And yeah, a lot of black people have showed a lot of pictures, and they try to do things in Egypt Search Forum and try to show black people that are in the area and say that's a Berber, and it's like they're in the Berber area now. But what would you call him? Let's see if I can get some better pictures here coming. Okay, so this is what originally Berber would look like. And would you say that looks Negroid in any way? You're gonna lie? You're gonna lie, huh? You're gonna try to lie. You're gonna say that, see, look, she's a black person. That's what you're gonna try to say, right? Right? Isn't she pretty? And what about all these beauty contestant features they've got? They got a lot of them. Let's just see what they look like. Hell, let's look here. Oh, she's got some great makeup and everything on, but that's Caucasian. And oh, ooh, she's kind of old, but she looks like Madonna. She's got blonde hair. So amazing. These amazing Amazai. And there is Celtic Amazai Berber connections. And that's what that site goes to. And that's a picture of a guanche. So you see black sites try to put this picture out, but then you look at them and you say, no, 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 ah, hell no, no, that's not what Berbers are. No, 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 there's that picture again. No, no, I'm not getting it. I'm definitely not feeling it. Wow, so no, that's so she's a Tiffanoff. Triplet. These are Berbers. Yeah, the right one and the left. Berber and Amazigh tribes. She's from one of them. What? Yeah, they still got some blondes and stuff. That's what I'm trying to find, is some of these girls that are in these competitions have beautiful green eyes like this one, and blonde hair still, and red heads, and there's this little girl that's just so cute. It's got a little extra makeup on too, and she's a redhead that they showed. She was like doing it for some ceremony that they had. But yeah, no, it's a Caucasian. No, it's a Caucasians. So I'm guaranteeing that whenever I say that Africa was full of Caucasians in ancient time, And look, Berber. Oh, that's a Greek. No, that's a Berber. Back in the day in Carthaginians and Phoenicians and stuff. And they're in North Africa and Carthage. And don't say they weren't. And don't say they were black. And you might as well not say anything. You might want to retract your videos, because I might sit and do this over and over again once a month just to run you in the ground, because you thought you were going to make a couple of videos about me to try to make a fool of me. And I find that you're looking quite foolish at this point. How much Negroid do you think she has in her green eyes? Huh? Oh, that's what they look like. That's a drawn picture by somebody. Oh, here's one of the ones I want to show you. You think that's a Negro? Do you think so?